What's going on, everybody?
Hola, fellow peeps. Welcome to Anime Eats,
the channel where we give you freshly served reactions. My name is Randra, your video editor here.
And my name is Vegito Blue, your cosplayer.
And welcome back. Welcome back to Anime Eats, where we watch and react to nothing but anime. And right now, we are not watching anything.
Surprise, surprise.
Because we already saw it. We watched Dragon Ball Super Broly.
I know, and it was so amazing. It was everything that I wanted.
Also, y'all already know, but let us say it. Spoiler alert, okay? Spoiler
I mean, I was
alert.
watching this.
I'm just saying, just to save our ass. But yeah.
First and foremost, before you do anything else, be sure
Make sure you like, share, subscribe. You're right. Make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you hit that bell notification button after you hit subscribe. And what else can they do?
You can also go to Instagram. You can follow us at Anime Eats if you want to follow our profile. And you want to follow us individually, we have @ForRealThough and @MissLeBlue.
Yes, and also
Uno más. You can go down to the description box below and you can follow the link to our Patreon if you just can't get enough of us and you want more and more and more. Yeah.
Now can we talk about Dragon Ball
Yes.
Super? Cause you know hey, if you follow Anime Eats, you know I fucks with Dragon Ball Z, and you know that's my favorite anime of all time. Everything Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Kai, Dragon Ball GT.
I mean, just look at his backpack.
Dragon Ball Super. Oh, man, look at my backpack. She said, "Look." So you know I was so hyped about this movie, but I'm gonna say what I need to say, but I want Mercy to go first.
You want me to go first?
I want you to go first.
So topic number 1, visuals. Okay, so first off, I just want to say that Dragon Ball Super, the actual series, already was amazing with the animation. Because if you go back to the old Dragon Ball Z, you should insert a clip. If you go back to the old, fighting back from like the 90s, it's very plain. Basically, all they do is they use the same like recreated animation for every fight scene, where they're just throwing a bunch of punches that you can't see, and that's about it. That's about as deep as the fighting gets, and then a big blast of some power. You know what I mean?
Some power.
But with DB Super, I'm just saying, they weren't the best fight scenes, you know? It got you hyped as a kid, but it wasn't the best fight scenes, let's be real. Not like some Naruto stuff. But DB Super, the series, especially with the Tournament of Power, they brought a lot of unique things to fighting, such as when, what's the name of the fusion between...
Vegito.
No. Is Kale the name of the fusion?
Kefla.
Was the name of the fusion. So, like, for example, when Kefla was blasting her whatever power blast at Goku, and Goku was, like, bouncing around, and, like, he was, like, freaking surfing along it and everything, that's what I mean, is they made the fighting way more interactive. So, in the DB Super Broly movie, they took that to a whole nother level.
Woo!
Like, the movement, the animation of everything was completely smooth, flawless. Like, they started it. I remember when I saw the trailer, the very first trailer that was released, it showed Goku bouncing around, warming himself up before he was about to fight Broly. And when I saw that trailer, I was like, I hope they keep that type of animation in the movie, because that would be so cool to see. Like, it makes it a lot more active and just a lot more fun to watch, you know? And it was amazing. Like, one of my favorite parts about the way that they animated the fight is their movements were so fluid and true to who they are. So, for example, like, Goku obviously is a trained fighter, so he was very controlled in his movements, in the way that he fought. But Broly, even though he's, like, powerful, they made it very clear that his upbringing was more that of a, like, barbarian kind of, like, we were talking about it, he reminded us a lot of Tarzan. So even though he has all this power, he's learning as he fights Goku. So they made it very clear when he reaches his ultimate form as a legendary Super Saiyan, his movements become extremely animalistic and extremely savage. Like, instead of being controlled, he's literally like the movement of a dog's head when it's like thrashing something around.
Yeah.
That's like the way they made him move his head when he was like using his power blasts and everything. And I thought that was so cool, because the way they did it made him even scarier in a way,
and like,
you know?
he's just a savage, really.
Like, he's completely savage. He completely has lost control. Like, his movements were so fluid in the way that he like carried himself. It was just really cool to see, and I love how they did it. The only problem is now they set the bar really high for the new DDP Super series, because this animation and the colors were so vibrant, so vivid. Everything, like, lights, everything looked like it was glowing. Like, it really brought it to life. Like, they really brought the fight completely to life. And I loved it. I loved it. Oh my gosh. Loved it.
Broly fighting, the way how he was fighting, it was so crazy because he was like a Tarzan barbaric savage person. Because when he was stomping,
yeah, when he stomped and then he like crashed his head around.
He was like,
I
love it. He had no control, but he just have so much power. He just go berserk. And what I really love about the visuals and the animation is everything was clean, everything was fluid. The movements, like when it was going through cycles and movements of the fight and them destroying the place, there was not one scene where I was like, ugh, that look ugly. But the colors are ridiculous. Like when it was transforming into Super Saiyan Blue and Super Saiyan, they had like sprinkler of like every color when it was transforming. It wasn't yellow, it was like, they had like green and I was like, yeah, damn, you about to turn Super Saiyan
No, but I liked it because
I loved it.
They added more of a flair to their transformations. Like, it was like their transformations have always had that like flair to them. But what they would do is I noticed, like, say he was going from Super Saiyan God, the base form, the red form, to like Super Saiyan Blue. When he's like going into that from Super Saiyan God base form, it's like they make sure that you see traces of Super Saiyan God like going away. Like you see like some of the red still sparking within him. So when he is Super Saiyan Blue, you still see some of that. They keep some of that aura there. So it really looks like he's building layers to his power. Like, I don't know, the way that they did it, they paid so much attention to detail. If you're a longtime fan, you know that the series does not always pay the most attention to detail.
I mean, yeah, because look at the fighting scene. They be throwing arms, you know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying.
But it was none of that in this movie.
You pretty much saw everything they were doing.
When I'm telling you that they was throwing hands, the fight scene was so smooth because, like I said, in Dragon Ball Super, when it was facing Jiren in the Tournament of Power, they were just throwing. You know the visual. I'll show it to y'all, but it's like that. But no, you can see every arm punching and missing so clean.
And they added more acrobatics to the way that they fight because we know that they're freaking trained martial artists. We know this, but they never ever really show them doing like flips and acrobatics and things like that. But when Vegeta first started fighting Broly, I flipped out a little bit inside. Like, I got so excited and I got a little bit of chills because animation is everything to me. Ever since watching Naruto, that's really what made me fall in love with well-animated fights, and you don't get them that often in anime. You might get like a little lick of a good fight, but they don't keep it going like Naruto does. When I saw Vegeta freaking, what did he do? Like, I don't know. Remember when he like, I don't know what you would call that move, but when he first started fighting Broly, when he like put his hand on the ground and he like flipped his body around?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? But they animated it so clean. I was like, what am I watching? I've never seen them do this.
When they was dodging the fuck out of it with style, bro.
And they weren't just like, oh. You know, they were like doing stuff like that, like freaking acrobatic type stuff.
It was clean. It looked like Vegeta and them had Ultra Instinct the way they was dodging. Because it was so fucking smooth. Okay. The colors and the visual, when in the beginning they show Frieza and they show the origin of the story, and the way they designed Frieza as a little kid, when King Cole passed it down to Frieza to take over the Frieza, it was the Cold Force, now it's the Frieza Force. That shit's crazy because I just love the colors and the eyes of all these characters was crazy to me. Cause I've never seen it in these type of movies. As me being a Dragon Ball fan, these visuals was out of this world. Cause the color of Frieza was reddish and everything. Just you can see the evilness of Frieza.
Like his eyes, when they closed up on his eyes, his eyes were like red.
The aura, it just, you can feel the evilness in them, and that's what every person, everybody. I love it. When we saw Broly for the first time before the movie, I was like, I like the old Broly design. I love it better than the new design. I didn't know how I feel about it, but from the concept of the concept arts and stuff that they showed us, wait till you see the movie. It's beautifully designed. It's beautifully designed. Because like this nigga's tall, which we already know, but he's tall, and the muscles and his hair, his eyes, the skin tone and everything. Like
Broly's original design, where he looks kind of like almost like an Egyptian inspired type thing going on, like this like gypsy type with jewels and everything. Like, I thought that was really cool. And I remember when I originally saw the trailer and I saw his new design, I was kind of like, he looks more plain. I don't know, to me he looked more plain. But then when I actually saw the movie, it fits his character a lot more, and the direction they decided to take the plot with Broly is a lot more fitting in my opinion, because like we said, he was almost like a Tarzan. He makes you think of Tarzan from the moment you meet him, and to me that fit him way more and where he came from, because the ear, first off, that's another attention to detail that they had. That said a lot about his upbringing, because basically his dad just raised him to be a weapon, so that way he could use him as leverage in the future with Frieza to get revenge on the remaining Saiyans, which Vegeta primarily, right? Because of what happened. So he just raises him to be a weapon. He's, you know, kind of abusive because he has this shock collar around him to control him, and we understand why, because Broly's Broly. When he loses control, he loses control. So we get why, but like, it's just really kind of, I don't know, heartbreaking to see like a father freaking electrocuting his son. Like, I don't know, to me it's messed up either way, the way that he treats Broly. So
yeah, very messed up.
So the whole idea of him having this like green fur wrapped around his waist is because the only friend he was able to make is on this like planet void of any intelligent life. So it just has basically savage creatures. One of the savage creatures is this huge green furry beast that eats off of these insects that live on the planet. And he manages to befriend it when he was like super little. He befriends it by starting to play with it and everything. And his dad got mad because he found it to be a distraction. So he ends up like chopping off the giant's ear and everything. And that's Broly's first thing. The thing he wraps around his waist is the ear, because it's his only friend he's ever had, which is so sad. And that's like his only childhood, you know what I mean? And his dad took it from him. So I thought that was a really beautiful thing they did, and makes you appreciate his design a lot more. A lot more. And if anything, the minimalistic design just fits him better because of that savageness, that savagery. And they didn't have anything. Growing up on that planet, it's a deserted planet. They really didn't have anything. So it makes sense that he's not wearing anything except maybe that and, you know, some bottoms or something.
They made him look like an athlete.
They did, and he is.
Because when he was tall.
He's tan.
And he wore a freaking Under Armour Nike dry fit clothes.
Oh yeah, when he put that on.
He had a black dry fit, man. And he looks like an athlete. He looked like a tight end for the NFL, bro.
Once he put that on.
That's what I'm saying, when he was wearing that shit. But the design, I love the design.
And then when you see him standing next to Goku, Goku's really pale, right? He has a really pale skin tone. But you don't really think about that until you see him next to Broly. And I thought that was fitting too, because again, that whole Tarzan thing. Tarzan's really tan because he's outside all the time, spends all the time in the sun and nature. And Broly's like essentially the same thing, you know? He's always outside trading on this planet, and they live in like a cave, you know? So it made a lot of sense. His hair was long and messy, and I loved it. I fell in love with his design and the story behind it.
So I'm over here comparing it to the old one. I'm like, man, I like the old one because, you know, the chain and everything, that's dope. But once you see it in person and understand the origin behind his clothing and why he wears, you know, why he looks the way he looks, it makes sense. And it just makes you appreciate the design more, and Curry Toriyama itself too, because that nigga, remember, he did not write the movie Broly. So when he wrote this one, it's on a whole nother league. When he touched this, bro, you cannot tell me Curry Toriyama is not a genius behind making this, bro. Like, he's a genius. I swear he is. That's why he's that nigga, bro. He's that nigga.
Talking about the new characters. So I love the way they play into the story. I love their introduction into the series, because obviously we're gonna see them later on because they become Broly's friends. But I thought they were gonna be irrelevant when they first came in. I didn't think they were gonna play much of a role. But pretty much Chilai became, I mean, I feel like she like fell in love with Broly low-key.
Low-key?
I feel like she did, because the moment that he stood up for her, because some drunken guy in the cafeteria on this like ship was trying to hit on her or whatever, and Broly tried to choke him out, and then the dad tried to electrocute him, and she was like, oh hell no, don't try to electrocute your son, you know? And she didn't like that, and she felt like it was wrong too, which I completely understand. And even though all of us are like cringing when she stole the freaking remote from the dad, at the same time I get it, because if you didn't know his full power and you saw that, I mean, that looks just like straight up abuse.
That's not a shot, that was a thunder.
I mean, I felt like he needed to shock him a little bit, but he straight up like...
Thunder shot the whole nigga. Where did you at?
He like over electrocuted him. I'm like, you don't need to be electrocuting him for this long. But no, she snatched it from his bag after she stood up to him. And she crushed it, and she got rid of it, and it's interesting.
Remember when he brought it out the remote control, and Broly was freaking out.
I know, and it's so sad, because all he did was when they were in front of Frieza, and he was like, don't worry, if he loses control, I have this. It was so sad, because he started like, you know, holding the collar, and I was like, he's like a dog, you know what I mean? Like, when a dog sees like whatever causes them pain, they like whimper, and they like try to hide, or, you know, they get timid, and that's exactly how Broly reacted, which... so sad. But anyway, so she crushes it, and then they go on to befriend him. I don't remember the other guy's name, her coworker that goes along with her stuff. But they befriend him, and they give him food and water and stuff, which he never had water, which is crazy because it didn't grow up on Earth. So I'm like, how do we hydrate? What the fuck? But anyways, so they befriend him, right? And she ends up standing up for him, and the crazy part is later on when they're like fighting, when Broly loses control, becomes the legendary Super Saiyan, and is fighting Goku and Vegeta, she's watching the whole thing, and instead of being terrified of him, she's like, this is so sad because his dad turned him into this. His dad allowed him to become a barbarian animal, you know, and a cold-blooded killer. Basically all he needs is like love and someone to look after him and friendship and stuff. So I think that their role is very interesting because they almost became like Broly's guardians, because what his dad lacked, the evil that his dad had in his heart, they don't have that. They literally just care about Broly completely. Like he's an abandoned puppy that's been lost his whole life.
Yeah.
So I think they're gonna have an important role in the long run, because we're obviously gonna see Broly later on in the DB Super Series, and I think when we see him, they're gonna help make him more humane. Because Frieza even said in the end, he was like, let them domesticate. They said, allow them to domesticate him before I try to come back for him. Basically, they're gonna make him more, you know, friendly to humans, because he doesn't know how to interact with humans. He doesn't know manners.
Yeah, that and him to control it, because he can't control. Once he goes berserk, that's it.
Exactly, and they're brave for taking that on, because I mean, yes, Broly is not a bad human. He's an innocent child essentially, but like when he loses control, he loses control.
I don't know how they're gonna control him because they don't even have the neck thing. So I don't know how they're gonna.
They don't have the neck thing, and they don't have powers.
They don't have powers, bro.
They don't have power at all. So I'm interested to see what they do with Broly and how they develop his character in the long term, because those two are obviously gonna play a huge role.
Oh, seeing Raditz and Vegeta.
Wait, are we going through topics still?
We're just saying that their design when they was kids.
Oh, okay.
When they was baby, when it was like a kid.
Yeah, that was so funny. The whole theater started laughing because everybody was like, they look, what'd you say? They look like chibis?
Chibis!
They really did though. They looked like their heads were way too big for their bodies and everything. It was so funny. It was cute though. Yeah. And then they were savages still. They were both such assholes even as little kids, and it made it funnier.
I love everybody's design. I love King Vegeta. I love his design with the beard and everything. The goatee. King Cole look clean, bro. King Cole looks a threat, because like I always laugh at King Cole. Every time he popped up in Dragon Ball Z, I laugh. I'm like, who is gay ass motherfucker? He looks suspect as hell, but no, he did not look suspect in Dragon Ball Super for some reason. He looks demonic as fuck, you know.
Vegeta and Goku, of course, look like Vegeta and Goku, but except they made everyone look extra good for the movie.
Okay, I feel like Beerus was kind of off to me.
Why?
In his design, his color, I don't know. His color looks too dark.
Well, his color looks the same to me.
Okay, can I say my piece first? And then you say yours. Beer's design, his same thing, but the color was off to me. It just looked too dark.
Maybe it's because he was out in that sun tanning the whole movie.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Weeds look good. Oh, seeing Vegeta going Super Saiyan Red for the first time was his design for that was really, really clean. He looks good in red. He looks good. He was really he was looking good.
That fits him a lot better than Goku, in my opinion, because Vegeta naturally has like kind of Super Saiyan hair naturally. So like he looks good in God form.
Yeah, because it looks like a Super Saiyan God, or you know, Super Saiyan form.
Like I understand why Goku's hair stays how it is, but it doesn't look as good in God.
Yeah, that's his base form.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. But obviously the origin is gonna be different from what the Toriyama they're telling us through Dragon Ball Z. There's a few things where it's like plot holes, but that's how it is, you know. But yeah, I love how they talk about the origin though. It was pretty cool on the Saiyans and who they are and what they was doing because of Frieza and King Cole. To see their relationship, to see King Vegeta being every other Saiyan being shook of by King Cole and Frieza force and shit, cause they was scared out of their mind, bro.
So I love seeing the origin personally. Still for me, it almost was kind of a nostalgia to see like the origin. I felt like it was really cool because you grow an attachment to these characters and you get to see where they truly come from, like their roots. That's why it was so cool to see Vegeta and Raditz as little kids, because it's just something you don't see. It's like seeing history in the making, you know? And even though I knew that the Saiyans hated Frieza and they were terrified of him because he controlled everything, and King Cole controlled everything, seeing them, like actually seeing them interact, because we haven't seen much of that, you know? So actually seeing what it looks like in the lives of the Saiyans, it was kind of like seeing like a day in the life of a Saiyan, you know what I mean? Which we've never really seen before. So seeing them approach the planet and make a visit and seeing how all the Saiyans act, we know them as this powerful warrior race, and they were on their knees shaking. They were shaking after Frieza freaking lasered multiple Saiyans, showing them the whatchamacallit?
The new scouters.
Yeah, the new scouters that he was giving them. That was cool too, seeing the origin of the scouters. Seeing him hand them over and introduce them for the first time, because that's such an iconic part of Dragon Ball Z. So when you see that, you're like, oh my gosh, it's the scouters, like the first time they were ever given and introduced to them. And he did it in such a ruthless way, so cold-hearted.
He's like, look, this is how it works.
He's like, this is how it works. Oh, you
I
see
see
that?
5 niggas pointing
Let me kill them all. And yeah, so seeing him interact with Saiyans, very interesting. Then seeing the Saiyan society interact with each other was interesting too, because they had that room with like the highest ranked warriors or whatever in those pods, you know, when they're babies. So seeing that was interesting, because I don't know if that was ever like shown before.
No,
I don't remember.
No.
Yeah, so
you only know like the lower race and the lower class,
yeah,
and the higher class, but I forgot, or I just never knew that the powerful ones are like right there with King Vegeta.
Yeah, that was cool, because to see the tiers of a Saiyan society was very interesting, because I didn't know they treated like the babies different based on their power levels, you know? So that was interesting. And the fact that Broly came from what's considered like lower class, lower ranked warriors, and he was in there and King Vegeta was mad, that was very interesting.
I don't think that would happen, right? I thought that,
yeah.
You know, he's like, who is this? Why is he here?
Yeah.
Oh, because, because he had a higher power.
Exactly, he said, he was like, you're telling me that this little lower ranked warrior has a power level that exceeds my son, you know what I mean? Because he was mad because apparently Vegeta, Prince Vegeta, apparently he had broken records already with his power level as a baby. So to hear that Broly had
the family tree, because they always breaking levels.
So apparently to hear that Broly as a baby has an even higher power level, he was like, no, like he was pissed off about it. So that was cool to see that too. And then also to see like the home of Saiyan, because Bardock went home, and to see Goku's mom.
That was so sweet, man. When Bardock went home to his wife, first of all, wife looked good, and I love Bardock, bro, because that's the nigga, and you just see Goku. That's all you see when you see Bardock. So it was just cool to see him talk to, because first of all, when or Corey Toriyama talking about, they are savage. Like these Saiyans, they don't give a fuck. But when you see Bardock and Homegirl and everybody else in the community, they see some nice, wholesome Saiyans. Yeah. You know, we always hear warrior. We just go ahead and kill niggas and take over planets, and they just don't give a fuck, bro.
That's why it was cool to see them from a different perspective, because, I mean, Bardock's wife even said it, though. She was like, you know, why do you care so much right now? Because, you know, you guys are known for not caring about your children as much or whatever. So they reminded us that is a reality, that, you know, Saiyan dads aren't really meant to care for their kin that much, you know? But that was cool, too, to see, like, Bardock, the thought process happen, where he gets that intuitive feeling that something's gonna happen to them based off of Frieza's actions. He's like, this is weird, and that's the whole reason that Goku survived, you know? And that was cool too, to see that they have the little, whatever they're called at home, to raise the baby. Like, that's so weird to me.
That's so cool.
That is cool.
And then he really wants to save him because he's always killing folks and stuff, and this is why I care, because I want to have a change.
He wants to save something for
save something
rather than kill something.
Yeah.
That was really
And then
good.
if I'm wrong, I go save him, because Bardock had a feeling that why would he want all the Saiyans in one area to just distribute these?
And then he got the other indication, because Frieza was like, have you heard anything about the legendary Super Saiyan recently? And Bardock was like, why is
why is he asking that? It's just a myth, but it doesn't matter. He believes in it, and he thinks that we're a threat. That makes sense, though. I understand why Frieza did what he did, because they can take over I mean, it was almost like Bug Life, where the grasshopper was taking over the ants. But then the grasshopper's like, why are y'all fucking, like, you know, main niggas, like, why are y'all fucking laughing? You know that there are so many of them, if they realize, once they realize they can freaking beat us and take over, they're going to do it. So, no, we got to make sure we put this intimidation on point. So I understand why Frieza did what he did, because, like, once they realize that they can beat our ass, no, I ain't even gonna beat it. And this legendary Super Saiyan, I don't care if it's a myth or not, it could be true. I'm not gonna take that chance.
Yeah.
So that's why he did what he did.
So that brings us into Broly being sent off. So we talked about Goku and his family, but Broly, that was very smart on King Vegeta's part too, because he was kind of the same thing. He's like, look, and he was very cold-hearted about it. And I get it, like, I get it. As a parent, you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear that from anybody, especially someone who isn't connected to your family at all. You know, what do they know? But like, Broly's dad realized it later on. He was like, maybe King Vegeta was right. Maybe my son really is a threat to everybody, because he is.
Yeah, I feel like that was just a coincidence. I feel like he used that as an excuse. But I feel like his decision to send him off was jealousy.
Oh, it was jealousy for sure. But he did have a point. He did have a point, you know, because Broly's power level as a baby is that high. That's ridiculous.
So yeah, so once he found out that Broly legit is powerful and it's unbelievable, it's like doesn't make any sense why he's just powerful as a motherfucking baby. Yeah. Pegasus, his father, was telling him that we already sent your kid, but your kid on to another planet. We have to, because he's gonna be in danger for him and to us, because that's just way too much power that we cannot handle. Oh my god, when they played the song, oh my god, I'm like, I was a little kid again. I'm like, oh, you understand? Every time something lit or something nostalgic, I'm like,
I know, I was just about to tell him when you saw that. I was like, yeah, the whole time he was like, and I was like, can you stop hitting me?
Man, because y'all don't understand, this is my life, this is my childhood. So when they was playing that song, that hit my feels. I just started getting chilled. I was getting cheered up and shit. But yeah.
Yeah, it was cool how they did that. And then they immediately started off with the freaking fire animation with Vegeta and Goku
They're already
fighting on water.
Bruh,
like, that was the coolest thing. And the fact that Bulma's just sipping on her martini and she's like, oh yeah, we had this built because it's an island so far off of shore.
So that's why they can't fight.
And so she pretty much like built a playground for them so they can fight as much as they want.
So they found the girl Chile and Homeboy, they found him because they were searching for more niggas for Frieza to build his army again. They found Pegasus and Broly in that planet. Brought them to Frieza, and Frieza is the one that stole the Dragon Balls, and he wants to make himself taller by 5 centimeters. That was hilarious.
That was unexpected. That was definitely a plot twist.
Yeah.
You were over here like, oh, he wants to get Broly.
I thought they wanted to know where he's at, you know?
He was like, no, I want to be 5 centimeters taller. So yeah, they find him on Earth because they're going to get the last Dragon Ball. Goku and Vegeta scared away his freaking minions, the ones that were supposed to get the Dragon Ball. So they showed up themselves to get it. And the interesting thing, so jumping into the fight. So we already talked about the visuals and stuff, so we won't talk about that. But what I thought was very interesting was we got so caught up in the fact that Broly's this all-powerful being. I forgot, I don't know about everybody else in the theater, but I forgot, oh wait, we don't know that if he can go Super Saiyan. Well, him and his dad have been secluded on this planet alone for years and years and years. And what we find out as Vegeta is fighting Broly, he can't go Super Saiyan. Because once Vegeta goes Super Saiyan, I love Broly's reaction. Broly was like, the fuck?
And then Pegasus was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and then Vegeta, Frieza was like, wait a second, don't tell me he can't go fucking Super Saiyan. Are you kidding me?
I thought it was just a myth. Oh, that's disappointing.
Frieza was like, wow, well, we should call this off now. Like, Frieza was so disappointed. I thought it was hilarious, though, because I didn't even think about the fact that they don't even know what Super Saiyan is. You know, Broly was witnessing a new phenomenon as he was fighting it, so I feel for him. But
the one thing with the old Broly, he just came in and started blasting niggas in Super Saiyan form. Like, he's that dude. Like, he's been doing this. You know what I'm saying? And he already know how to turn Legend Super Saiyan and stuff like that. But he came in blasting these cats like it's nothing. But this movie, Vegeta was beating his ass in the beginning, and then when he was learning how to fight, because he's only been fighting Pegasus, so when he was learning how to fight strong ass niggas, Broly, Vegeta not once was scared of him, you know what I'm saying? Or was not timid or whatever, but still was beating his ass. I like that. Broly did not come in here and start beating niggas' ass. No. Yeah. I like that. That's what I really love. That they really showed that they went through a lot of stuff. Vegeta and Goku, they went through a lot of stuff, and they've been powerful. So I like how they was beating his ass, but then I like how Broly was running and was throwing punches back and beating their ass, but then come back and was beating his ass. But not once where they were scared of Broly. They was never really scared of him. That's one thing I like.
Yes, and I love that they showed throughout the whole movie, it was a recurring theme that Broly, because Broly was definitely viewed as way more evil in the original movie. And you remember the music? I remember the music when I heard it in the original movie. I was like, oh my god, that's so scary. But in this movie, you remember him. They give you this image of him as this really misunderstood, like, savage child who has a good heart but doesn't know what he's doing. He's only listening to his dad and he doesn't know what else to do. So you keep that in mind when he's fighting. He's only fighting off of his dad's orders. He doesn't know what he's doing really. And so I love when Goku stopped him. When Goku started fighting him, he was like, we know that you don't have to fight. Like, we don't think you're an enemy. Like, we really don't. That
was boss, because he was saying God doing that shit. Yes. That makes total sense, because that's God. That's the chill key, you know what I'm saying?
I love how he, like, controls it. I love how they did that whole entire moment. Like, that whole moment was chilling. And, like, we've seen Goku do this a million times. Play the good guy, try to freaking talk the bad guy out of it. But the way that this was new with the Super Saiyan God thing, like, that was all brand new, and I loved it.
I can feel it. Like, you good, man. It's so good.
And then Sheila and what's his face were watching too, and they were like, this is so wrong. He shouldn't be fighting like this. This is all his dad's fault. So we didn't see in the original movie with Broly, we saw Broly as evil himself, which he was. He was more bloodthirsty. Yeah, but in this movie, it was all his dad. It wasn't Broly.
But
it made him a lot more lovable and relatable.
Relatable as fuck.
Rather than just this evil monster that's bloodthirsty because he's the legendary Super Saiyan.
And I like how they explain why he's so powerful. They didn't really explain why Broly was powerful, I don't think, in the original movie. But they explained to him because, like, oh my god, he has the great ape power, but he's just not in a great ape form. Like, he have all the powers of a great ape, but he doesn't. But he's not formed of a great ape. Yeah. That's ridiculous. And then when he transformed into his second transformation, that was clean. He got bigger and his hair was kind of weird, more nappy look.
They kept the kind of the original like design in that sense with the white eyes and the lime. It's like almost a lime green type hair.
No. I'm talking about he transformed twice.
Oh, you're talking about never mind.
The first transformation. I'm sorry.
Last form.
The first transformation, he got bigger and his hair he got more hair and it looked more wild. He looked more wild.
I remember that. Yeah. That's when he had the golden eyes.
And then and then. But still, Vegeta was holding himself though. He was still. And when he turned Super Saiyan God, he beat his ass in that form, and he was being. And then Goku was like, "No, Vegeta, don't blast him," because he was about to blast his ass. I love that. Vegeta. It still reminds you that Vegeta is still the original Saiyan. You know what I'm saying?
What a waste.
I love that. Even though he had that character development of saving his kids and his family and stuff. But he's still Vegeta, and I love when they bring that side of him. Cause he's gonna kill niggas. He don't give a fuck.
He's still cold-hearted.
Yeah, he is still cold-hearted. But and Goku's like, no, he didn't. Don't do it. But he did it anyway, obviously, because it's Vegeta. But that's when he transformed. Yeah, that's when he transformed. Yeah, so that was cool. And then you want to talk about when he actually transformed into a legendary?
No, because I mean, all I really have to say on that mainly is the visuals of it.
Because I want to talk about.
Because at that point, it was pretty much all visual.
I wanted to talk about how he transformed into a legendary Super Saiyan. So he transformed into a Super Saiyan because of Frieza blasted his dad.
That's hilarious.
And he was like, "Oh, let's test it out." And he beamed this nigga, right? You know his signature move. He beamed his dad, and then he was like, "Broly, oh my god, look, your dad is dead." Stray laser blasted him.
The whole entire theater was dying. Like, it felt like such an inappropriate time to laugh, but it was so funny because everybody was like, "There goes freaking typical Frieza."
Yeah, that's funny. And then when Broly saw his dad, he was like, "What?" And then that's when he. That transformation was cool.
Yeah. But then jumping to the end, because at that point it's just a whole visual string of fighting that was really cool to watch. And we talked about that. But jumping to the end, they saved him by.
No, not yet. So now he's really, when he transformed into a legendary Super Saiyan, he don't have no control at all. That's it. And that's what Pegasus was trying to control, is him going to berserk mode. So when he turns legendary Super Saiyan, he was fighting anybody in sight, no matter who it was, to a point that he was fighting Whis. Bruh.
Oh yeah.
So he was fighting Goku and Vegeta at the same time, and then Goku instant transition to transmission to Piccolo. When that happened, Broly started out of nowhere beating Frieza ass. I'm like, yes, beat his ass. Broly beat Frieza ass. And everybody was in the theater saying that shit.
Everybody was dying laughing because they were like, that's karma right there, Frieza. That's karma.
Right. So while Piccolo was teaching them how to do the dance move, you know, the Frieza, the fusion dance, you know, when you mess up, you either turn into a fat or skinny. So every time they did a dance and they mess up, he turned fat the first time. He's like, oh man, I fucked up. You gotta wait 30 minutes. And they'll go back into Broly fighting Frieza, beating his ass. And then they did it again. They fucked up. He turned skinny. They go back and you see him still beating his ass, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when they finally get it right and turn to Gogeta, which he was beautiful in the baseball, it's so beautiful. They go back to they instant transmission back to the battlefield. You see Broly fighting Whis.
Except not even fighting. Whis was just like, oh my.
Oh my.
And he was dodging like nothing. Like I was like, man, Whis is like a freaking O-D-O-D-O-D.
He was just like, oh my. Oh. And then I was laughing like, how did this happen? Where were you, Whis? Why are you in the middle of the battlefield? What happened? How did I end up being the way it was? You know what I'm saying? That shit was funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, then you see Gogeta coming in. Ooh. I love Gogeta.
Yeah, Gogeta was clean.
And you know, he turns to the same blue. Oh, that whole fight was clean. His power was clean when he did the crystal ball. I was waiting for that. He did it. We can go on and on about that, you know?
I'm letting you continue because I don't want to jump too far ahead. I don't know if you have more to talk about before we talk about Shinron.
Let's talk about Shinron.
Okay, so the way that they save everybody is because she called Shinron because she threatened the freaking guy, Frieza's little main minion. She threatened him to let her use the Dragon Balls and call Shinron. So they call Shinron, and that's how they save everyone. They have Broly sent back to his home planet and saved. They sent him back to his home planet and had him be saved, and they followed him there because they want to basically like re-raise him and help him gain control and let him actually have friendship and love in his life. And that was it. Honestly, the very end gave me chills because, you know, of course Goku shows up because it's the transmission.
Bro, Goku's real, man. I would love to meet Goku in real life. I would love to have him. I want him to be my mentor and everything because he cares.
Yeah,
he's
he
so
genuinely cares.
Bro.
Like, I love his heart. And like,
his heart.
He has the most like genuine, innocent heart of anybody. And he's always so refreshing to watch. He's always so positive, always so fun. Even during the fight with Broly, he was like, oh wow, he's amazing.
Because like when he,
you know?
when he pops up and presents himself, even though he's goofy, but you can sense that this dude is wise. Because he was like, he just pop up, was like, man, how you get here, man? You know, instant transmission, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm just that nigga. So I sense y'all energy, bam, I'm right here. And here, we got capsule for you guys and everything. And then Broly, I'm gonna come back and beat your ass.
Yeah, but that's what I love. I just love Goku's character. Like, I will always love him because he's just refreshing. And I know, like, we're speaking to a bunch of fellow anime fans. People who are not anime fans probably don't understand, but his character, like, represents a lot for a lot of people, and he's inspired a lot of people. And even though people could just say, oh, he's just an animation or something, like, it never feels that way, you know, especially when you feel like you grew up with him or whatever. But the way he ended the movie, tying into all of that, is, you know, he brought back his origin, which is really cool because we never see him really address his origin as Kakarot. So when he looked at Broly, because he knows Broly is, you know, Super Saiyan, he's one of the only Saiyans left.
That's what I'm saying,
And he told him, he was like, you know, I'm Goku, but you can call me Kakarot.
Yeah.
I was like, what? It gave me chills because it was like he addressed his background and his heritage.
Yeah.
And I love it because, you know, Chile was like, just remember, we don't think of you as a friend or whatever. Like, we're still pretty much sketched out by you. You know, which I understand. They don't know.
Yeah,
they don't know.
But
I like Goku's response to when Chile was like, we don't think of you as a friend or whatever. because they only see him as someone who fought Broly, you know? And so I like Goku's response, because once again, this is just Goku, but I loved his response, and he was like, I mean, that's fine, as long as you let me fight Broly every now and then, you know? I was like, that's so Goku, just like, he just is so nonchalant and does not care.
Yeah, so
I aspire to be that way.
That's just who he is.
Marissa, we don't like you. Oh, that's fine.
I just want to fight, my nigga.
I just want to have
As
fun.
long as you're strong, we can fight. That's it.
I just want to live my best life. That's Goku. Goku's like, I'm just trying to live my best life, guys.
Yeah.
But that's all I have to say.
I think that's it. I mean, that's all. A lot has happened in the movie. And if y'all seen the movie, you want to have a discussion down below, just go on and comment down below, and we can have a discussion there about Broly, the movie. If we miss anything, yeah, go down to the comment section. We will have a conversation there. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and hit that bell notification for us one time. And also, what else can they do, Marissa?
You can also go over to Instagram and you can follow us at Anime Eats, or you can follow me at Vegito Blue, or you can follow Randrell at For Real Though.
Yay.
And you can also go down to the description box below and go to Patreon, where we have bonus stuff for you like vlogs. So what you doing, stop? Where we have stuff for you like vlogs and hey, what are you, 3?
I'm Goku.
This is in preschool. Yeah,
Yeah.
Goku's like forever in preschool. But anyway, I swear. But anyways, I think that's it.
I think that's it.
That's it.
Well, until next time.
I tried to give you time to jump in, but you didn't, so I just went for it.
Whatever.